Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, hey everybody, it's the week of Christmas already, and it's hard to believe how much of 2025 is already come and gone. And of course, here at Giga Texas, production has stopped for the year. The Friday the 19th was the last day, and you can definitely tell that if you look at the outbound lot. Over on the west side, it's virtually empty, which is a good thing for everybody waiting for their vehicles to arrive. Now here at Giga Texas, because there's no production, it's kind of slow except for construction, and that never really stops. Now to start the video off, I decided to fly to the south of the Colorado River today, show you some of the additional construction that's going on that is not directly related to Giga Texas, but it's influenced by Giga Texas. We also take a look at some of the caisson work that is going on the south end, and we can see that most of that has wrapped up at this point. We can also see more work with drainage on that south side as well, tying into all the systems that we see being put in here at Giga Texas. Now, here at the site, the thing that I want to talk about most briefly and point your attention to is over at Cortex 2. A lot of work is being done at that chiller plant on the east side. More rebar is being placed now, kind of forming the floor amongst all of the reinforced walls. And they're also installing more pipes and manifolds around the wall section of Cortex itself. Over on the west side, work continues with the transformer installation, more trenching on the ground, a lot more of the screw type piers being installed further to the west to expand that section where they're putting the transformers on the platforms, and reaching up onto the roof to connect those transformers to the main power systems are a lot of these kind of ducting systems, more like cable trays but enclosed, that reach up over the parapet wall and are preparing to enter into those large openings that they've added into the roof. Now if we go up to the north end, we can see a very large delivery today. Two large items that are wrapped in white based on the truck and also the crane. They are very heavy, but they're also large, barely fitting into the receiving door on that north end. This is also where a lot of the work is being done with the pipes and manifold systems that will flow the cooling system water from the chiller plant on the outside and into the building to cool off all of the computers at the data center. Now that's about it for today here, and like I said, production is stopped for the next couple of weeks, but otherwise still a lot to see what's going on. So let's get into the drone, let's fly around and see what's going on here on this Christmas week.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, it's a beautiful day to fly here at Giga Texas despite the low clouds. The temperature is wonderful, especially for Christmas week. Let's start off here on the west side, looking back to the east across the main factory. Of course, this large field where expecting to see some sort of construction in 2026 for a welcome center, so it'll be something that we will continue to watch. The other big news, of course, is that production is stopped for the rest of the year. You could really tell with the outbound lot, almost all of the vehicles have been moved off site. There'll be a little bit more of that activity this week, and hopefully they will all get to their customers. But this is a planned production pause for the holidays, and it will resume starting around the 5th of January. So while we're here, I'll bring the drone back down. We'll take a look at the material storage yard here on the west side. Not really a lot of changes over the last couple of days, which is what you would expect. We do see all of these transformers still being consolidated and stored here. We also see the spools of cabling. There is a yard truck coming in off to the left. I'm not sure what that's for. I don't see anything to lift up transformers onto it, but maybe it's just moving a little bit of materials from this part of the site. As we continue to fly to the south, there is activity here where we see some yard trucks kind of lining up, perhaps to pick up some of this material and move it over to the factory. We will see later in the video a lot of equipment being delivered over on the east side near where the Cybercab production line is being finalized. The materials here at the bottom, of course, are part of the 4680 cell portion of the factory, and still more of these items just remaining. Those wooden crates with the large P on it we just flew over, we're going to see a few of those over at the paint shop later in the video. This is the workshop for the superchargers, also for the mobile power stations that you can see at the bottom of the screen near the solar panels. You can see a lot of the superchargers stocked over by the containers, more of the power cabinets, and in the tent itself, more of the V4 superchargers, along with several of them here on the ground. Some of them look like they're wrapped up for transportation, but a lot of superchargers here in this particular part of the site. So bring the drone up higher, we'll cross over the power lines, look to the southwest over this large field, which has mostly been used for storing dirt and some of the kind of the spoils, the material that comes out of the tunneling. That's all the gray, and that's pretty much stopped here now since that work has mostly been completed. Turning back towards the east, get a good view of the steel that's stored here on this part of the site, and where there used to be the large tent, now we just see more concrete parts being stored. Some of them here at the bottom of the screen, much over in the center of the screen and on the right hand side of the screen as well. And then at the top of the screen where the yard truck was just driving in, you'll see that there is more crates, kind of low crates, very thin, and more materials put in plastic. We're going to see some of that equipment over on the east side of the factory a little bit later in the video, but this is what this looks like here today. Now, one of the things I want to do, since it's kind of a down day for production, is I thought I would show you the far south of this location past the Colorado River, which we're flying over right now, and just show some of the construction that's being done here that's being influenced by the presence of Giga Texas. In the middle of the screen is a large part of the complex for apartments that's being expanded. You can kind of get a sense for where all the apartment buildings will be and the roads that will connect them, plus the parking locations. You see a lot more work in the top middle of the screen, as well as this part of the site continues to be prepared for even more construction. And as I fly kind of towards the southeast over this road, there's some new industrial buildings that have been put up. They're getting close to being finished up, and even one of them has some solar panels on the roof section. The reason why I'm showing you this is that there are a number of warehouses like this all over the south part of the general area of Giga Texas, and some of them actually are now being used by Tesla for some of the ancillary production, like, for example, making the seats or making some of the plastics for the interior panels. So maybe that is going to be related to Giga Texas. The distance to the factory is, as you can see, quite close by. Now this caisson, the farthest one to the south, I have viewers that keep asking me to look for this. Here it is. It looks like most of the work is done. You can just see the ring, the manhole access port kind of in the middle, and otherwise it looks like most of that work is now completed. As you can tell, there is this work preparing for more construction. Some of this looks like it's a water management system, some vaults, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. It may be related to this clearing, which has a kind of a water detention system being built with concrete. And some of the rest of the water management's tying into this. And there's a good view of that here next to the trees. And I'll kind of maneuver towards the north around the trees so you can see what that looks like. And all of this section here has had a lot of work over the last couple of weeks and months. And it looks like there's still at least another several months yet to go. Of course, next to the bridge is where the caisson just to the south side of the Colorado River was, and as you can tell, that work is pretty much completed. You can barely tell that there is a caisson at all. It's just that circular access point in the kind of brown dirt on the left of the side of that site. So I'm going to get ready, cross over the highway. Wanted to show you the current extension and kind of the movement of Falwell Lane into a new road. And you can see that at the center of the screen as it's kind of bypassing around the bank of the south of the Colorado River. And this will tie in underneath the bridge over to all of that construction that we have seen. And as I continue to fly back towards the factory, it's a great view of the work that's being done here at the bottom. And there's also more concrete vaults and pipe segments that are being stored throughout this location. So I'm going to cross back over the Colorado River, fly around the south end, and we'll resume over near one of the other caissons that's being constructed. Drop down onto this caisson with that kind of half wall that's still remaining, and then in the large pit we can see this very tall concrete vault-like structure that has been built, and in and amongst all of the spreader bars and the sheet piling to keep the walls of the excavation from collapsing in, you'll see the tunnel that is sticking out at the kind of left center of the screen down at the bottom of this pit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the drone back, pan up, kind of keep your eyes in that direction of that tunnel. And I will, once I bring the drone up a little bit more, I'll put an arrow up. This is where that tunnel connects over to the caisson that was added in. And here's the arrow showing up. And that shows you that that tunnel, for some reason, it will connect over to that large excavation rather than connecting into the caisson that was built or that large vault. So very interesting, but I am at least glad to be able to show you for sure where that tunnel is coming out. Now the work next to the fork statue at the bottom of the screen seems like it's mostly done. They are filling in all the trenches where there was conduit that was added in. Here's a good look straight down. Across the road is that caisson that the tunnel segment connects to. And I'll try to kind of bring the drone up, zoom in, and give you a better view down to the bottom of the caisson. And just at the corner at the very bottom of the screen, or the circle of the cylinder, is where that tunnel segment exits into the caisson. So anyway, that's what that system looks like today. The south end of the factory, I'll maneuver over towards the 3 exit tunnels and this kind of 3 terraced section. And this is kind of what it looks like here today. Really not a lot of work has been done here in quite some time since they finished with all the gravel that they put around the base of the windows. Here's a nice view of the cooling plant for Cortex 1. All the plastic again is there to protect from freezing weather that we will be expecting to see in the next few months of winter here. I did notice all of these containers. I'll zoom in briefly. And I also noticed there's a lot more up to the upper left by the east side of the building. So I kind of decided to change my mind. I'll zoom back out. We'll bring up the drone to a higher altitude, and I'll try to fly along the parapet wall and give you an idea of what is going on. And much of this equipment that is being brought in and being prepared is supporting in some way the Cybercab production line. Now, this equipment is closer to stamping, so that's maybe telling us what this is related to, stamping out some of the metal parts that would be needed for the Cybercab, perhaps. All of these crates, many of which we saw over on that southwest staging yard before, they've been moved over here. This is that new painted lane and the asphalt section where a lot of the crates are standing on the right-hand side of the screen, next to that maroon truck, getting some more items in the blue wrap taken up off of the truck. And that lane extends into that exit point next to those two new tanks. And it's very possible this is where Cybercabs will exit the factory. I'll continue to maneuver around, just sort of give you this sense of all of the equipment that is getting ready to be moved inside, whether it's going to be on the ground level or on the platform. It's really hard to tell for sure. But we also see some more blue wrapped items on the left on the truck that have been delivered here, waiting to be unloaded next to those kind of recycle bins, the silver and the red one. I'll zoom back out. We'll look at the material staging yard here at the bottom of the screen with many of the pipe segments, some of which are the green and almost teal color, and then the others are the concrete segments. We'll also fly over the pond, over to the east clearing, and the big thing that we see is the steel corrugated pipe. Four large sections that kind of make this manifold have had all the gravel on to keep it from floating up. They have all the dirt that's being placed on top, and this is filling it all in to level it out. This will be one of the areas where River Road will extend over and then have a new intersection with Robotic Avenue just to the bottom of the screen. We do see more of the work here grading out this area, and we also see some of the dump trucks picking up some of the dirt and transporting it up to the far north of the site. And it looks like there's more leveling that has to be done because there's a little bit of a hill at the bottom of the screen. The recycle yard here today looks pretty much like a normal day. There is some recycling trucks with those red items next to the kind of plastic wrapped center structure. And it looks like they're unloading or loading up some materials to take off site. The workshops at the bottom of the screen look like they are building more of the pipe segments, most of which is going to Cortex 2 now to support the cooling system. Here's a great view with the trail off to the left of this new clearing, and how this all appears today with the factory in the background. And a nice look up to the north, looking at the East Warehouse on Wheels, just to the north of the Recycle Center, and of course the complex of structures with Cortex 2, which we will be seeing here later on. We're going to continue to fly along this side of the site, getting closer to the main factory once again, and look at this staging yard. I'll zoom in so you can get a good look at all of the materials, the pipe segments, and other items that are being stored here temporarily, and looks like a pretty good amount of activity with this, probably supporting several different construction sites around Giga Texas. I did notice also next to the secondary main entrance and the construction entrance, these items, they're kind of silver wrapped. There's a couple other ones in black wrapping and some crates. This has been delivered over the last couple of days. And it looks like this is all waiting for their turn to be moved into the factory. Usually when we see something in silver like this, they can be robotic assemblers. So perhaps that is related in some way to that. But hard to really tell from this altitude. So I'm going to fly up over the roof, give you a view of some of how it looks here today, especially with the new line of solar panels. And we'll maneuver around on the west side of the factory and resume over where there's an excavation going on for some pipes. Work here with the trench boxes, the trenching, and the connections of pipes between the lift station on the kind of bottom of the screen, just out of view of the drone, and the new pipe segments along the berm. And this is what that looks like right now at the bottom of that trench box, and some of the equipment on the berm itself doing the work. As I mentioned, there's really no production today, so no activity at all coming out of the factory's ramp. Not a lot going on at the entrance, and the flagpoles are kind of standing here guarding the factory while everybody else, or the large part of the employee workforce, is off on the holiday vacation. As I mentioned, the ramp going into the factory, this is where the Model Ys exit. The door is shut, which further reinforces the idea that production is in fact paused for the rest of the year, and we won't really see much activity out of there for some time. So I'm going to fly all the way up to the north of the building along this west side, and we'll resume the discussion up on the north end of the building. View at the center of the screen is more of the work with the trenching and the purple pipe installation that extends from this part of the perimeter fence all along the north side of the road here next to the sidewalk, and then over to where the castings are temporarily staged. As we come in closer to the north end, we can see bins with unwrapped material, so more items are being moved inside for the production expansion. We do see these green bins here. They have a lot of the bumpers. Looks like maybe Model Ys, all unpainted, and I'm not sure why they're recycling so many. These are those large crates that I mentioned with the P. We saw more of these over on that west side staging yard as well. And as I kind of bring the drone back here, I'll fly over the trenching that is underway here next to the casting staging yard. And it looks like the trenching is mostly being filled back in. So it looks like work on the installation of this pipe here through this section at least is almost completed. Now, I did notice that in addition to the castings here on the north side, that we see a lot of castings along the northeast corner and the east side of the building. Now, all of these are Cybertruck, both front and rear underbodies. So it certainly looks like a lot of Cybertrucks are planned to be built. And while the production pause is happening, I think the teams will get ahead of the casting process. As I zoom in, here's some more castings that are related to Cybercab, the rear upper Cybercab casting. There are some Cybertruck castings, and it looks like some additional ones on the ground, which we'll see here momentarily. The recycling efforts continue. There is a lot of new patent information that's come out that talks about the process of how Tesla is using these scrap materials to melt down and be able to make the alloys for the castings. Here you see the furnace loading system with some of the wheels, and all these large bags are various materials and ingredients that they add into the castings to make the proper alloy. Here are some Cybercab front underbody castings next to the backhouse filtration plant. More of them are in these rack mounts. There's the rear subframe in the racks, and also more of those upper
castings as well. So there is a lot of castings that are being made for Cybercab here, as well as the Cybertruck. And as I pass over the baghouse filtration plant, and these castings on the ground and in the racks are all Model Y rear castings. So again, my suspicion is that they're going to use a lot of the downtime to get ahead of the castings and have those ready for when production resumes. Amongst all of this material, you see those 4 kind of black pedestals. Those are usually used for very large robotic assemblers, and it's very possible that they're going to be adding even more of those into the factory. And we may see those arriving, or it's also possible that they're already in the factory. I had noticed when I've gone on some tours that there are extra robots kind of waiting for eventual use, so that could be the case as well. So I'm going to fly over the East Warehouse on Wheels and the kind of trailer and workshop section on this east side, and we'll resume over near the crash testing facility. View of the east side of the battery cathode building and the crash testing facility itself. On both the north and the south ends, they are enclosing at least part of the facility and probably having some sort of door system. This is what it looks like right now. They're in the process of adding more of the sheeting on the top, and it looks like the crash testing wall is off to the side. There are some vehicles on the left getting ready for recycling. 3 of them or 4 of them are Cybertrucks and a couple of Model Ys. In the west side of the wall, there are about 16 Cybercabs, some undercover, some not. These have been going through all sorts of testing, some crash testing, some engineering testing, and a variety of other I guess overall testing, not to use that word too much, but this is a really great view of what is going on here. The trailers or the containers on the left are all full of Cybercab parts as well, those wooden containers that you see at the top of the screen. As I maneuver around, it looks like there's some tool boxes, those blue ones with the workers, and a good shot of the north face of the crash test facility with those new kind of decking material that's been put on the top part, filling in most of that. Again, I was under the impression, or I was told that it's not just for keeping it heated and cooled for the workers, but also for dust mitigation as well. There are these transformers waiting for their turn to be installed over at Cortex 2. This is about double of what they already have installed, so it gives us some sense of how much more work is remaining. I'm going to briefly fly up to the northeast over all of the concrete that's being broken up and stored here temporarily. Zoom in and just a quick view of Lone Tree Field, the rental equipment lot and maintenance facilities, where they're doing some reclamation work on that tree-lined field with hills and valleys, and this large field where they've been breaking up the concrete, removing it, and also mulching in all of the old tree debris. And it looks like the majority of that work is now completed, and it's worth keeping an eye on because they usually do this ahead of some sort of major construction, so that's very possible. As I turn back towards the main factory and the complex of structures here, I wanted to give you a look from the east, looking back to the west along the length of Cortex 2, plus much of the activity on the ground that is going on. We see Deliveries on the north end of Cortex 2, a large raised section of dirt in the kind of middle right of the screen, which we'll get a closer view of, and a lot of the pipes and tanks and vaporizer systems here in the alleyway between the die shop and the cathode building. As you get closer to Cortex 2, this is where the bulk of the activity is today, so we'll spend some time looking in detail about what is going on. First off, let's take a look at the chiller plant that is taking shape. Now, notice the raised ground that the walls are put around. Up to the upper left is that new clearing. So I suspect we're going to see something similar to this built in that area as well. Now, the formwork is here with what looks like to have the concrete already poured, waiting for that to cure in the middle section. A good view of these, I'm calling them manifolds with the large pipes that kind of stick up through the holes in the walls, plus what's going on at the base, and a great view of all of the concrete walls where I would expect to see pipes going through. That's why they have the double wall, and they're putting in rebar and forms for what will be the floor of this part of the cooling system. You see some of those circular holes through the walls. That's going to be where more pipes extend through. Looks like there's going to be more extended out to the east of this wall here, closer to those blue forms. So that'll be something to watch as well. Here's some trenching work next to the receiving doors, more of the electronic equipment with the kind of the racking system next to the wall. So we'll expect to see some cable trays extending over the parapet wall from that. And then here is this raised section. Once again, you can see the excavation on the left next to the building. And what this is looking like, I suspect this is going to look very similar to what we just saw at the first part of the cooling system. So a lot more construction yet to go. Trenching at the bottom of the screen, the workshop on the right hand side of the screen as well. This gives you a great view of this trenching that's extending up to the north. And as I kind of turn back, we'll pass this light post. I'm going to zoom in, just show you the receiving docks that have been added here. They've been poured with concrete. You also see some materials in the far back, kind of in the dark area, and a very large fan off to the left. I suspect this is going to be reconfigured into those receiving doors on the exterior wall, and we'll see that work over the next couple of weeks. More materials on the ground here, and concrete vault sections and connecting points also. And the big news is the large delivery today. We see one of the items getting maneuvered into the receiving door, the other one still on the truck. There are some letters on it, but it's really hard to kind of decipher exactly what that means. But based on that trailer that they came in and the crane and the work that they're doing trying to get it inside, these are pretty substantial items that are being brought in. And as I mentioned in the intro, this is barely fitting through this receiving door. There's a great view of the markings that I mentioned. So if you happen to know what those are, please let me know. But great to see that there's a lot of equipment now starting to show up for Cortex 2. I'm going to suspect, I suspect that most of this items with the manifolds and the pipes at the bottom are still related for the cooling system. And the main reason why is that the receiving door you see at the center of the screen, that's the west hallway. And I think that's where the main computers themselves are going to be, because it's a raised, graded area inside. So I'm going to fly along the west of Cortex 2, take a look at some of the deliveries of spools of cable, some of the workshops, and some of the other groundwork, and we're going to resume up near where the transformers are. Zoom in here next to the Cybertruck. We can see that concrete has been poured into the trenches, the risers, and the conduit inside those trenches. We see some more screw-type piers have been added, and of course all of the transformers and some of the electrical systems that are being installed on these platforms. This is going to continue to extend to the north. In fact, we see more screw-type piers on the right-hand side of the screen are being added into that part of the site. We'll come back and get a better view of that. The other big news is these kind of enclosed cable trays that extend from the platform and the transformers up over the parapet wall and are being arranged to enter into the openings. Those kind of like almost like white cabinets that they've placed on top of the openings they added into the roof, and that's where the cables are going to extend into the building and connect the power supply. A good look from this vantage point of the south end of Cortex 2, where we see more trenching. This is preparing for that purple pipe, and my suspicion is that this is all related to the purple pipe installation that we saw just to the north of the main factory. But this is a close-in view of what is happening here. You can clearly see that purple pipe. They're maneuvering another one for installation, and of course the trench boxes as well. Great view of the west side from the south looking to the north, and more of the screw type piers on the left waiting for installation, and as I mentioned, more of them being installed here, extending away from the building even more. And so we'll continue to watch and see what all happens here and what they're going to install, but it's still quite a bit of work yet to go. Here's those screw type piers waiting for installation that I mentioned. And as we cross over the power lines, we're going to get a good view of what is going on here at the electrical switchyard expansion, starting with some of the electronic items and breaker disconnects on the ground. More of these trench boxes, the cabling being installed into the conduit throughout this section. And earlier, just before I got the video, I came by and took some photos, and I saw a large number of people within this connecting tunnel pulling through these cables. And I was hoping to get that on video, but I've got them all on stills. But with all the people in there, it gives you a really good sense of just how large these cables are. They are not small at all. They're probably at least 6 inches, which would be about 15 centimeters in diameter, or even bigger than that. I'll keep the zoom in. We'll pan up to the north, show you the trenching with the ground cable trays next to that control room, kind of mimicking what we see on the left-hand side of the screen. And as I continue to pan around, a good view of all of the activity and steel assembly that is going on. They are maneuvering some of these poles. Some of this is going to be used to finish up the top of the A-frame on the center of the screen to match the one on the left, and some of that looks like it may be enough material for even more A-frames. A good view of the concrete slabs, the work with those A-frame pipes, some of the continued assembly of steel and the circuit breakers, more of the pipe segments for the A-frames on the ground next to the perimeter fence, and here more steel assembly on this part of the site. A great view of some of the cables that are being pulled up as well. So that'll bring to an end this kind of wide-ranging view of the site from the very far south west all the way to the northeast and everything in between. For the next couple of weeks, again, it'll be mostly construction, but hopefully we'll get an idea of what they're doing and how it's shaping up for 2026. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.